We just got to execute early on, find a rhythm of the game, and then go finish in the fourth quarter.
The whole season on the line for the Buckeyes. Nobody giving the Wolverines a chance to win this game. Howard in trouble! Incomplete! Ohio State turns it over on downs. And the Michigan Wolverines will shock the college football world. And now there's some skirmishes going on the field.
You got to fire Ryan Day.
If there wasn't a 12-team playoff, Ryan Day would be...
I think he would be fired.
Is Ryan Day the guy for this job? Can he and the football team bounce back?
Touchdown, Ohio State strikes first.
They cracked his helmet with such a big hit. Look at that.
Touchdown end zone. Henderson breaks free. House call for Ohio State. The Buckeyes can begin planning for Pasadena. There is Smith roaming free. Breaks a tackle. Ohio State strikes quickly. Caught in stride. Abuka touchdown. Buckeyes on fire. Smith is wide open. It's a Crimson avalanche here in Pasadena. Driving in Henderson. Getzman with it back for Ohio State. Sawyer knocked it out and picks it up. Ohio State scoop and score. Heavy pressure. Howard delivers downfield. And Smith, he's got it. And Ohio State is going to walk out of Atlanta national champions. The story gets to get told now, and it's a great story about a bunch of guys who have just overcome some really tough situations. There's a lot of people that counted us out, and we just kept swinging and kept fighting. It's the reason why you get into coaching, is to see guys overcome things, learn life lessons, and then reach their dreams. College football national champion, Coach Ryan Day, and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
What's going on, Buckeye Nation? I'll tell you what, Rob, it's going to be a long time before those highlights, I get sick of watching them. I truly don't, man. They're phenomenal to go back and watch and relive at the jump of every video. But we got a live tonight with wide-ranging topics, but kind of a Big Ten-centric show for you tonight. We're going to cover the James Franklin firing. Right? Let's be honest, that's the biggest story in college football right now. Everybody's got an opinion on it. I just heard Urban Meyer's before I came on the show, so that was interesting to hear because he coached against him many times, and that was pretty enlightening. The Ohio State-Wisconsin preview, of course, tonight, and then Sharon and his shenanigans at the press conference, as well as looking ahead to Washington and Michigan. Are the Wolverines facing another potential L, this time for the first time at home in Ann Arbor versus a high-powered Husky offense? And then just some Big Ten power rankings thrown at the end as well, with Indiana upsetting Oregon this past weekend. My rankings look like trash now, and it's pretty funny. But, yeah, we're going to cover it all. But we're going to start with the story of the week. James Franklin. My goodness. I'm still processing it. You know, some people are shocked. Some people are like, well, duh, of course. Like, they had to. And my opinion, and I'll throw it to you here just in a second, Rob, but my opinion is like, when the fan base has turned toxic against your head coach and playing in your own home stadium as a toxic, bad situation, it's probably time for the coach to go.
Yeah. I mean, dude, kudos to him for rebuilding the Penn State program when it was pretty much down on its luck after the most horrific scandal in all of college football, the Jerry Sandusky scandal. He joined the staff in 2014 and then just had that phenomenal surprise season in 2016, won the Big Ten championship, and he put Penn State back on the map. But it's just like he just couldn't win the big games. Every time he had an opportunity to show that he was going to take that next step forward, he failed time after time. If it wasn't Ohio State, it was Michigan. And if it wasn't Michigan, it was some other top 10, top 5 team. And just this season just showed it. There was a lot on the line. A lot of players came back who had an opportunity to go to the pros. I feel so bad for Drew Aller. He could have been a first-round pick last draft cycle, and now he's injured. He may not get drafted. But
Really?
other than that, like, he had a chance to prove that he was going to go in the right step. And then it was the loss at home to Oregon during one of the biggest games of the season, a whiteout. It was a top 5 matchup, and then they blew it at the end. Typical James Franklin loss. And then you had the loss at UCLA against a first-time play caller interim coach, which was pathetic because they were garbage. They were complete garbage before that.
Mhm.
And you let one player beat you. It was I can't talk today. You let one player beat you, Nico Yamalava. I
Buddy.
think that's how you say it. I mean, he beat him through the air, on the ground, and then the nail in the coffin. Honestly, I thought Ohio State, Iowa, or Indiana was going to be the nail in the coffin. The nail in the coffin was at home against Northwestern. And it was just like, okay, there's 4 minutes left. And all of a sudden, just like, oh my gosh, Northwestern's in the red zone for the 4th or 5th time that game. And then they score off a rushing touchdown, which, by the way, Northwestern rushed for over 100 yards. Penn State has had highly talented defenses.
Mhm.
They're known for their defenses. And Jim Knowles, don't get me started, he failed once again. Couldn't get off the field on 3rd down. Through 3 games, giving up over 1,000 yards, maybe like 1,500 or so. And then, you could just tell by James Franklin's body language that he knew it was over. It was done. I'm going to the office. I'm packing it up, getting all my belongings, and I'm gonna go collect my check. I'm gonna run to my $56 million bio, and I'm just gonna sail off in the sunset. Go get a beach house and drink beer the rest of my life.
Second biggest buyout in college football history. Jimbo Fisher.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I was going to trivia question, but I figured enough people have seen that stat this week.
How did you get that?
Charlie Weiss is probably 3rd place because I remember he was getting paid for like a decade after his time in Notre Dame.
I thought it was Ed Ogeron, dude. He got a
you might be right because he won the title.
Yeah,
I'm sure he had a high buyout too. And he's never returned to coaching since getting fired too, by the way. I wonder what old Ed O was up to.
He was talking about it, but I just couldn't take it seriously, man.
Right.
He's not a great head coach. He had an NFL roster with an NFL offensive coordinator who's now the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, and that's that. The rest is history.
He fumbled that roster, man. It's a miracle he won a national championship. Let's just be completely honest. And his OC, I'm blanking on his name right now. I'm sure you know it.
Joe Brady.
Joe Brady. I have to think he's maybe a little more responsible for that national title. Now, he has kind of flamed down the NFL a little bit, but he was elite in college.
Wait a minute. He just got the offensive coordinator job for the Buffalo Bills. And honestly, I was hoping he would have came to Ohio State. I was hoping he would have came to Ohio State, man.
Wouldn't that have been epic? I mean, he's been a hot name and a guy I've had my eye on since his LSU days, obviously, because he's innovative and creative, and he fits the Ryan Day offense so well.
Yeah.
But kind of on that note, man, they've lost like 7 top recruits this week after the firing. To no one's surprise, of course.
Their recruiting class is no more, dude. They lost Spellman. They lost 2 cornerbacks. They lost they lost an offensive lineman. They lost defense. It's no longer Happy Valley is no longer happy. I mean, dude. James Franklin may not have been able to win the big games, but the dude could recruit, man. And you know what? I have to say this. After all he did for Penn State, bringing them back from the ashes, they could have let him go at the end of the season, man. Who knows how this interim coach is going to do?
I really think a few days later now, I really think he deserved to at least let the season play out. But on the other side of the coin, it is clear he had lost the locker room. So did he really? And so, it's just one of those things. I can see arguments on both sides, but if I was the AD, I'll tell you what, I would have let him see the year out, but that's just me. Obviously, Penn State's
What
AD felt differently.
what if it's like a situation where we're Texas fans, we're booing Quinn Ewers, saying thank God, he's done at Texas. We're gonna get something better. Dude, what if they just don't win a game again this season and they just regret what they did to James Franklin? That would be, oh man, dude. But other than that, I cannot wait for Jim Knowles' homecoming, dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be at the game. It's gonna be
So
phenomenal.
fun.
And you know what? I think it could be a bloodbath. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna call right now. I don't think Penn State wins another game. I think they get absolutely blasted, and I mean blasted by Indiana when they come to Happy Valley. There's gonna be a lot of pissed off fans.
Yes.
They may leave at halftime. It could be that bad. We don't know who this interim coach is. Apparently, he's been there since the beginning. He's the original OG staffer of James during James Franklin's tenure.
Yeah.
So,
and he's only that's the reason why he's the guy instead of one of the OCs or the DCs. He's been with the staff, and players obviously are going to rally around him, but I just don't see players continuing to play this season. I can't disagree, man. And Signetti is a guy who loves to pile on the score and rub it in. That's just kind of who he is. It's in his DNA. He's kind of petty like that. And so I could see Indiana really, really going after Penn State. When Indiana sees blood, they go for the jugular, man. They go for the kill. And so I could see that getting nasty and out of control. And Ohio State has the potential to do that as well, of course, being at home in Columbus. So stoked you're going to that game. It should be a nice, easy dub. I wonder what time that game is going to be, though. Now that's kind of in flux a little bit.
It's probably still going to be at noon, man. I don't see.
I'd say so.
Like, dude, let's be honest. There's a giant contract that Ohio State has with big noon kickoff, man, and just like
and Ohio State's a draw.
Death, taxes, and Ohio State big noon games. That's pretty much it, man. You know what? It's the sad thing is it's the day after Halloween. It's a blackout game, and you're gonna do it in the middle of the day. Shame on you. Shame.
It does stink, man. I remember the first time we had blackout game back in 2015. We bust out the black jerseys for the first time at night, and it was epic. And we could have done it again. We could have recreated that, and it was versus Penn State. But yeah, Big Noon has stolen that from us for sure. But transitioning to like who's gonna replace him, like. I don't think there's any scenario where this Terry Smith guy is the head coach next season. And so who do they go to, man? Who obviously everybody is throwing out the most obvious name in Curt Cignetti. We don't really, that is the front runner in everyone's mind. I don't think he's going to leave for them personally. I think he could if he sees the dollar signs because Penn State will pay. But I just something in my gut just tells me he's going to stay with the Hoosiers.
Man, maybe Matt Campbell from Iowa State.
He's definitely in the running. Although he slipped the last couple weeks.
Man, I mean, honestly, dude, I'm gonna stick to this. I say it's gonna be Curt Cignetti, man.
You think it will be?
I think that Penn State can offer more than Indiana. I think that, he's done enough to show that he can pretty much win anywhere. And there's no way that he is not targeted by Penn State this offseason. Just no way, man.
Oh, no, he's definitely going to be targeted.
What other names do you see, Peter?
There's some other ones in there, man. I think you gotta look around college football and look at some coordinators of some major programs. And so I've identified Oregon's defensive coordinator, Tony Lupoy. He was, he's got the NFL experience and the pedigree. Lanning hired him on his staff when he first got to Oregon, and he was the Broyles Award winner last year for the nation's top assistant. So I think staying in conference, knowing the conference. I think that's a realistic possibility, and it would hurt another Big Ten power, quote unquote, by stealing one of their coveted coaches. And so not only benefits Penn State's program, but it hurts another, Big Ten competing program. And then when you stay inside the conference, man, as well, I don't think this is necessarily too realistic, but I do want to put it out there because of his elite recruiting ability. And that's our very own. I know Buckeye fans aren't going to like this, but Brian Hartline is going to be in these conversations, not only this year, but in years to come. And we've already been discussing how long can we hold on to Brian? How long can we keep him in Columbus? He is a Buckeye through and through and through. But eventually the day is going to come when our beloved Brian Hartline is no longer on the sidelines in Columbus, and he's probably leading the program if that is his aspiration, to be a head coach.
Yeah, so about Brian Hartline, man, I think he still has something to prove at the offensive coordinator position.
Agreed.
So we could have another year or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see a team going after him because of his recruiting.
Right.
And, we'll see how better he gets with the offensive play calling. But other than that, man, I feel like he has more to prove than
What about this name? Vandy's coach. What do you think about Vandy's coach, man? What he's done with the Vandy program in the last few years, elevated them. Would Penn State go back to that Vandy well, just like they did with Franklin?
I was about to say that, man. Another coach from Vandy who built up a program. But, I mean, I don't know, man. Dude, here's the thing. I think they are hungry for a coach who they know they want a guarantee on this. They want a stamp guarantee on this coach that they can take this program to the next level. It's been built up. They want someone to take it further. And I don't see them hiring some newbie coordinator. They want to get someone that is proven.
Someone's established.
They're all in on Cignetti, man. I'm not changing anything, dude.
The reason why I think he's the front runner and why he should be the front runner is because he is defensive minded. And I think this kind of nullifies my argument for Brian Hartline. I think they will absolutely go after a coach that is defensive minded, because that has been the identity of the program under Joe Paul for the 45 years he was there. That's been the identity under Franklin as well, leading with the defense and kind of coming along and having an okay offense with a couple playmakers here and there. So I think it will be a defensive-minded first coach. But let me ask you this, man. Kind of like the Alabama job, where it's like you got to have some gonads to kind of step into this role, because at Alabama, you were replacing a legend, whereas Franklin's not a legend, but you're replacing a guy who was good. Some would say very good in his role, but not great. You have to believe so much in yourself that you can take it to the next level to take this job when you have an administration that you're stepping into that fired a coach for being pretty darn good. And so what coach has enough gonads? Curt Cignetti might be that dude, because he says what's on his mind with no fear of repercussions.
Yeah, there's also the other possibility. Maybe Manny Diaz comes home, man.
He should absolutely be considered.
So I'm looking here. There's actually, I saw this floating around today. It was Matt Rule coming to Penn State and bringing Dylan Raiola with him.
Why would he leave Nebraska? I've seen that too, and I don't get that. I don't see why he would do that.
So pretty much all the names we're bringing up, Curt Cignetti, Matt Campbell, that's the names that are being thrown out there.
Mm-hmm.
I also said Manny Diaz. The USA Today article talks about Manny Diaz. So the coach from Tulane, dude, John Summerall,
mm-hmm.
He's revived that program. And then you have Brent Key from Georgia Tech, dude.
Yeah,
that's a big.
It's not a bad show.
He seems like a hard-nosed coach who just. And then you have Mike Elko. I don't think Mike Elko is going to leave Texas A&M, dude. He's in a good situation there. He already has elevated them to a top 5 program, and there's a good chance that they win the SEC this season. So
Finally being legit, right?
yeah, moving away from Jimbo Fisher experience. That's for sure. But dude, like all the names that we pretty much mentioned, no, I don't see out. What about Fran Brown from Syracuse, dude?
How have they done this year? I know they started off well,
No,
but I feel like they've slipped again.
Think of this, man. Think of this. Fran Brown comes to Syracuse, and he's able to bring Calvin Russell with him.
Jeez. They would need that wide receiver. You know how they've been lacking a wide receiver talent the last couple of years in Happy Valley.
Yeah.
They would need it. They could use it.
That's a big, but yeah, pretty much all the names you put out there, they're in this article. So we're not too far off. But dude, like, I don't know, man. I think Fran Brown, he's a winner. He's obviously building something there. I mean, dude, they got their highest recruit they've had in a while. And gosh, what was I gonna say? And just look at the season, look what they did last season. And
Yeah.
I mean, how are
Shocked
they
the
doing this
world.
season?
Yeah. He should be in consideration, and we're gonna see what the move is, man. But this is a risky thing. We talked about it right after the UCLA loss. You and I did, and we said at some point you got to take a risk and bet on yourself. But the word risk is involved in that sentence, and this could go downhill with a hire. They could go from being a playoff, a typical annual playoff contender, 10-2, 9-3 seasons, to going back to what they were in the mid and early 2000s under Joe Pa. They could regress. Now they do have the chance to elevate. So I respect the move. I respect the move from the AD that it's time to make a change and elevate the program because he's proven he can't do it. But there's risk involved, man. And we could be losing Penn State as a consistent threat in the Big Ten.
Here's my thoughts on how it all went downhill after that Oregon game. You know, there's just so much hype coming into this season, and then you lose against Oregon at home. And, you have the coach, James Franklin, and the players just the players and the fans like, oh no, this was supposed to be it. He didn't win a big game. He lost the first big game. He had an opportunity to redeem himself. It's happening again. Like what if the season just crumbles? We're never going to win a national championship. And then you can't say the players weren't thinking that as well, because how the hell do you lose to UCLA against a first-time play caller and the interim head coach?
Yep.
And
a program that looked helpless.
And then after that Northwestern game, it was just like, I'm like, man, like, what's going on here? There's barely any points being put up. Northwestern has been in the red zone about 4 or 5 times. Penn State obviously can't move the ball. And then they gave up that touchdown with like 3 minutes left. I'm like, it's over, man. There's no way. Their souls are broken. Their hearts are broken. And I was just like, it's over, man. Fire James Franklin immediately. And then literally the next day, he's gone, man. But just like, do they regret doing this in the middle of the season? I mean, that's especially a coach like that. Again, like, James Franklin is not a bad coach. He's just not an elite coach. So it's just like, we'll see how Penn State finishes the season. Do they rally together, that band of brothers, to, possibly go into Columbus and win? Probably not. Do they win? Do they beat Indiana? Do they beat Iowa? It could go either way. But my outlook is, I think they're going to regret firing him in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
And they're just going to tank, man. And
I think best case
to top it all off, their recruiting class is just done for 2027. It's over.
It is, yeah. I think best case scenario, Penn State wins 2 more games this season. That's the absolute best, I think. And so that does make them uh, miss a bowl game. That would be only 5 wins for the year. And yeah, I don't see them getting past 5-7. And with a year with national championship expectations, it's just one of those things that's so shocking in college football. And it's certainly the story of the season so far.
Yeah, and some of the players like Katron Allen, Nick Singleton have to ask themselves, the dream's over. The reason I came back, it's not happening anymore. Yeah, I got my paycheck, but just like, do I want to reserve myself for that bigger paycheck, that bigger dream of playing in the NFL and being able to, just elevate my status financially and as an athlete? I'm being able to live out your dream playing in the NFL, man. I mean, for a lot of these players, that's the end goal. And so after seeing what happened to Drew Aller, do they really want to possibly end up in the same boat when there's literally nothing left to play for?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's disappointing for those players, and they're not playing for much. They're already eliminated from the playoffs. So I really see a lot of them sitting out the rest of the season, especially with Drew Aller, their leader, done for the year, being carted off. But it was interesting. I don't know if you saw these or not, but I saw these on Instagram today. The tributes from Trace McSorley and Micah Parsons. They're kind of interesting to read, about their former head coach. And obviously they're saddened and, but, he was their leader of the program while both those stars were there. And, they feel for their head coach and their mentor in that aspect. And I think he was a really good players coach. I actually really do think that. I think he was one of the few men in college football that actually cared about his players. And so I really do respect James Franklin a lot. I truthfully do. I just don't think he was quite good enough at winning those games. And respect to him for molding men, but ultimately it comes down to wins and losses, man.
I thought he was here's when I thought he was a little smug and arrogant, and it was 2017, and he was interviewed. I forget who they beat, but they had Ohio State the next week, and then just like he was asked a question about Ohio State, he kind of shrugged it off and acting like, it's only Ohio State, like acting like they weren't even gonna play Ohio State, dude. It was like it was just like really arrogant and smug, and I'm glad they lost the following weekend. So I mean, he could be a little arrogant and pompous, dude.
He could be there. He could be there for sure. He was definitely one of my favorites in the Big Ten, and it's gonna be really different playing Penn State later this season, and then whenever we play them next, because I know they're not on the schedule for next year. But whenever we play Penn State next, and not seeing James Franklin on the sideline, it's just gonna be a strange feeling. He's been there for 12 years now, so 12 and a half years.
I was really hoping that Jim Knowles would have been named the interim coach, but
I wanted that for the
I didn't realize
that
Terry Smith had been on the staff with James Franklin since the beginning. So you got to give it to him. So.
It makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense in that regard. Moving on to our game this weekend, man. Ohio State travels to Madison, Wisconsin. I was contemplating going to this game, and if you're a Buckeye fan that wants to go, snatch up a ticket. If it's a close drive for you, tickets are literally $28 right now on the Game Time app to go to this game. So if you're near, make it happen. Make it happen. I ultimately decided not to attend. But this is probably the cheapest you're going to get in to see Jump Around. It might be the lamest Jump Around ever with how Wisconsin's season is going. But I think if you've always wanted to go to Madison and haven't made the trip yet, go ahead and make it, man. It's a beautiful stadium. I've visited, but not on game days. The Buckeyes come in, man, averaging only giving up 5.5 points per game to an offense, facing an offense in the Badgers to only average 15.5 points per contest. Like, those are bad NFL numbers, let alone horrific college football numbers.
Yeah, I was looking at the stats for this game, man, and it was really hard looking at the Wisconsin offensive stats. I mean, total offense, 127th, averaging 29.2 yards per game. Passing offense, 110th, 180.3 yards per game.
Sure.
Rushing offense, 115th, 112.2 yards per game. Third down conversions, they're 90th, only converting 30 out of 80, sacks allowed 14. So there's a fault. Ohio State should, be able to get through. Red zone offense 77th. Their time possession, dude, which is, they're 12th. They average 33 minutes time possession, but what's going to kill them against Ohio State is they're terrible at converting on third down, and Ohio State is really great at stopping third downs. And Ohio State
Right.
on third down, they've only allowed 17 out of 78 attempts. That's phenomenal. That's crazy.
Getting off the field, dude. It's an insane percentage. And it seems to get better every week, doesn't it?
But I will say that Wisconsin's strong suit of their team, the highlight of their team is their defense. Total defense, 34th, giving up 317 yards per game. Passing yards allowed. Secondary questionable, giving up 219 point yards per game. They're 66th overall. Rushing defense, good rushing defense. That could be a weakness for Ohio State, seeing that Ohio State still has to yet get their rushing game going. Only giving up 97.5 yards per game. Now,
Wow.
third down.
That's elite.
They're down 24th. They've only allowed 21 out of 68. But here's my theory, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they give up. Dude, Wisconsin gives up a lot of points, man. They give up 35 points. 35 points against Iowa.
Yep. Turnovers.
So, yeah. Oh, turnovers. So it's kind of like, maybe they don't get set up for enough third downs. It's just like, teams are just scoring on first down, second down. Or,
they're giving them short fields and
give them short fields and stuff. So that's my only reason on why they would be this good on third down. But total sacks, they've only gotten 11 sacks through 6 games. That's not that many. Red zone defense,
not great.
They've allowed 16 out of 18 attempts.
Gosh.
7 rush, 3 pass. So it should be relative. Like Ohio State should be able to eat this time in the red zone because Ohio State's red zone offense. They've gotten 28 or 31 attempts. 22 have been touchdowns. So that's pretty good. But dude, Ohio State has a chance. It's just like they're up by 2 scores. I'm like, okay, when is it time for the nail in the coffin? They got to kick a field goal. Ohio State has to get better with that. But dude, look at this Ohio State offense, man. This is not your typical Ryan Day offense, dude. They're 45th overall, averaging 421.5 yards per game. Passing offense, 42nd, 260.8 yards per game. Rushing offense, 63rd, averaging 160.7 yards per game. Third down, they've converted 34 out of 63 times. Sacks allowed, elite, only 2. Red zone offense, again, they've had 22 touchdowns. They're 44th overall. Time possession, 25th, averaging 32 minutes per game. So, but dude, obviously the highlight of this Ohio State team is their defense. 4th overall defense, only giving up 229 yards per game. Passing yards allowed 7th, 145 yards per game. Rushing defense has improved tremendously. They've only given up 84 yards per game, 1 rushing touchdown, which was against Illinois. But the yards per carry that have gone against Ohio State is 2.7 yards per carry. That's a big improvement from what we saw during Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And they, against Washington, there was that really big run at the beginning by Muhammad, and then they just closed it up real quick. Coleman. They closed it up real quick. They made adjustments. But dude, this is one thing I was worried about, man. Just like, dude, do we have the size to not be bullied around in terms of the run game? And now it's just like, okay, they're 9th overall, and they've only given up 84 yards per game. On third down, again, phenomenal. They rank 2nd, only giving up 17 out of 78 attempts. And total sacks, they're 14th, 18 sacks, which is phenomenal from last season.
Yeah.
I don't even think we were even touching this number with Jim Knowles. And the red zone defense only has their first, only giving up 1 rushing and 1 passing. So, you know what, man?
Yeah.
If we give up a freaking point against Wisconsin, I will be livid. I don't care if we win by 45-7. I'll be thinking about that 7 points like it shouldn't have happened. This offense is horrible. It's horrendous. There's no excuse to give up a touchdown against this team at all.
Yeah, with Wisconsin having to rely on their backup quarterback for the 3rd consecutive year, this is a bottom 3 offense in the Big Ten and definitely bottom 20 in the nation in terms of offensive production, points, yards per game. You mentioned at the jump, man. I mean, pathetic numbers for college football. Under 300 yards a game on offense. Like, what?
That's combined passing and rushing.
That's really struggling.
That's like JV.
Yeah. That's beyond poultry. And Luke Fickell's not going to have time to fix it, man, because I'll just be honest. I think this is his last game coaching. I don't think he survives this upcoming weekend. I don't want it to be. I am the biggest Luke Fickell fan, but excuses run out. And I said it, yes, he's lost his quarterback 3 years consecutively, his starter. That's challenging. That's difficult. That's life sometimes.
But you can't give up on your team, man.
Excuses run out. You have to find a way to win.
You know what I saw against Michigan? I saw a coach who gave up on his team, man.
Yeah. And then the last game, too.
And then the last game, dude, I think he's just mentally checked out.
I think he's spot on.
He's reflected on what he was given. And that was just an absolute trash Wisconsin program who doesn't even touch the top 40 in terms of recruiting. I don't even know what their NIL package is. I don't even know if they have NIL. Who knows? If they do, it's Mickey Mouse numbers compared to, Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Texas Tech, just complete Mickey Mouse numbers. So it's kind of like, I've talked about this before. You look at what Luke Fickell did at Cincinnati, and just like he did well at Cincinnati because he was recruiting well enough to do
his home state
well enough, the conference that Cincinnati was in. And then we saw what happened when they got to the playoffs. The talent gap, the talent separation was really noticeable. So he recruited well enough to do good in the conference that Cincinnati was playing in. So
yeah, and he did get an elite quarterback. Let's be honest, Desmond Ridder is still an NFL quarterback, so you got to have one of those if you're going to compete. But the excuses run out, man. And you mentioned one of the stats you mentioned caught my attention. We got 16 sacks, more than that.
18.
Yeah, no, 16 sacks, and Caden Curry has 6 of them.
We have 18
sacks. Okay. And Caden Curry, he leads the Big Ten. He's the Big Ten's leader in sacks right now with 6 on the season, averaging obviously 1 a game. And him, and then you combine probably the best linebacker tandem that we've seen in Ohio State in a while, and Styles and Reese. Reese, we've said it before, he's gonna be a top 10 pick, no question about it. And then you got the best defensive player in the nation in the secondary. It shouldn't surprise us, that this defense is as elite as it is, and they are going to shut down this Badger offense. When you see a coach that's checked out, how can a team not follow suit? There's no way the Badgers are fighting for a coach that isn't fighting for them. I think Fickell is unhappy there. I think he wants out of Wisconsin. I think the administration is unhappy with him, and that's frankly why I'm shocked he wasn't fired 2 weekends ago. And so,
Alabama after the Alabama game.
I thought he was going to be on his way out much earlier this season, and you were even ahead of me on that. You didn't think this season was going to go well, and it's playing out just like you thought it might. We try, like you said, and see scenarios where the opposition can notch a victory. Maybe they surprise us. Maybe they get an early turnover, get a early lead and get the crowd jumping in Madtown. But There
Peter,
is seriously no scenario I can envision as 26.5-point favorites, Ohio State losing this contest, because Ryan Day has this team so freaking laser focused and professional. It's astounding and so inspiring to me.
yeah, and this is why I said the season's not going to go well, dude. They had Alabama. They play at Michigan. They play Ohio State. Then the next week after Ohio State, they play Oregon, and then they have their bye week. They play Washington. Then they're on the road against Indiana. Then they play at home against Illinois. Dude, they might not win another game this season.
They're probably not making a bowl game.
What?
They probably won't make a bowl game.
They're not gonna, dude. I just read Ohio State, Oregon, Washington, Indiana, Illinois, dude.
They're going to be in the same situation Penn State's in. No head coach, no direction, nothing to play for. We'll see what kind of fight they got. And then they got to play the rivals, the Gophers, at the end of the season. So it's not going to go well, man. PJ Fleck actually has had the upper hand the last 6-7 years in that rivalry. So no matter who's been the coach, whether it was Chris or Fickle. But yeah, I don't know, man. What are you thinking, like, score-wise? I haven't really thought too much about what I think this score prediction will be. Ohio State has done a okay job covering the spread this year. I have to say, I think in this one they probably do cover. I don't see this being close, but at the same time, Fickle being an Ohio boy and having ties to Ohio State so much, I don't envision Ryan Day pouring it on the Badgers.
No, man, I don't. I think the final score is going to be 45-3.
Ooh, so you cover the spread handily. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, dude.
Okay.
Look, they don't have an offense. They have obviously turnover prone. That means Ohio State's going to be playing the short field. And, their defense is going to get tired out eventually. You can't, you may have a stout offense, but if you can't, you may have a stout defense, but if you can't produce offense, eventually your defense is going to get tired. And that's when the points start getting poured on.
And let's be honest, man, they do have a good run defense, but they don't have the secondary to keep up with our wide receivers, our stallions. Tate is emerging as an absolute, no doubt, first rounder. We already got Jeremiah Smith, who's going to go top 5 in 2 years. And so, I don't see the Badgers keeping this one too close. But like I said, I don't see Ryan Day pouring it on with respect to Fickle. So I'm going to say 35-0, though. I'm going to go for the shutout. I think they do get a shutout. They are rare in college football. In Ohio State, even as good as our defenses have been over this century, we don't have many of them. Yeah. But I think they get one this Saturday in Madtown. Buckeyes winning 35-0.
Definitely.
It'll be fun to watch, man. But, I don't want to get ahead of the cart, but we're going to go 7-0 and then entering the bye week, preparing for the home stretch of the season. It's hard to believe that we're talking about that already, but here we are, about to be 7 games deep in our college football season.
It just, what they say when you're having things go fast, when you're having a great time, dude. This has been a great season. I think
it's chaotic.
It's really chaotic, man. We've seen so many firings more like during the middle of the season, man. We saw Mike Gundy, longtime head coach Oklahoma State, then Oregon State fired their head coach, and now longtime coach James Franklin of Penn State just gone. I'm thinking Luke Fickle's next.
Luke Fickle's next. What about old Sunbelt Billy? Is he going to get the axe, or did Texas win save his job?
I don't know, man. Let's see how Tex does the rest of the season.
Right.
If that win doesn't look, he better be praying that the Texas win looks good. Because if not, man, what is his contract buyout? But you know what? Here's the thing.
It's fat too. It's fat.
Penn State just did a $56 million contract buyout. I'm going to say that no one's safe, man. No one's job is safe if you're doing as bad as Sunbelt Billy Napier. So
it's interesting, because maybe I'm wrong on this, but Florida doesn't impress me as a school that has loads and loads of cash sitting around. And that's why I think they floundered the last decade and a half, you know. And even in this NIL era, yeah, they lured DJ Lagway, but they're still struggling, man. Their roster is just not great. But we'll see who is next. Unfortunately, I think it will be our beloved son, Luke Fickell. He's next on the chopping block. Speaking of potentially being on the chopping block, now he'll be safe the rest of this year, I'd imagine. But Sharon Moore and his shenanigans. Did you see what he wore to the press conference?
Man.
A little skit for the media, you know, a little visual representation of what the Wolverines are doing. Back to work, Wolverines. My goodness.
He pretty much said the message is pretty simple. We got to go back to work. That's why I have this blue collar jacket on. Come on, man. That is pathetic. It's clown behavior. That dude is all talk. He literally said right before the UC game, it's sold out because Michigan is coming.
Yeah.
Okay, what happened when Michigan came? They got
waxed.
Yeah, they got waxed all the way up and down the field. They got completely mollywopped, dude.
They did.
I mean, got gashed for 224 rushing yards. They went into that game with the 15th overall ranked rushing defense. And just like, but here's what I think happened, man. I think that USC really played the perimeter game really well, and it showed one of Michigan's biggest weaknesses, dude. They don't have the corners, the secondary to keep up, man. Once again, their secondary is pedestrian, and
they got it's one average player.
I'll tell you right now, dude, Michigan fans are not happy. I listen in on pretty much all the call-in shows, Michigan Voice of College Football, Johnny Olden's show. They're not happy, man. And rightfully so, dude. Once again, you know, Michigan talking heads like Isaiah Hull, Trevor McHugh, Chris Ballas lied to them. All this talk about their wide receiver room, believing coaches like Ron Bellamy. What has Ron Bellamy done, dude? He's that one staff member where a coach hangs on to for way too long. He's a liability, man. He is the reason why they're not getting talent at the wide receiver position. And there's nothing else you could say about that. But dude, I think that, you know what? I called it. Sharon Moore, he's just not ready for this job. And, you know, all those some of the Michigan fans who were all hyped up because he took over for Jim Harbaugh during that 3-game stretch. Okay, but who was at practice? Jim Harbaugh was at practice.
For all of those weeks.
He drew up the blueprint. All Sharon Moore had to do was follow the blueprint with a championship roster. And then if we look at last season, he was benefiting from some of the championship team that was left. Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Donovan Edwards, Will Johnson, Colton Loveland. It's just like now that nobody's left, it's his staff, his roster, and his head coaching positions. I give this man a D+. The dude looks like he's on Prozac on the sidelines. You know, he's sitting in a burning house. He's like, it's all right. Everything's gonna be okay. No, it's not, man. You're down 31-13, and you're smiling like, you know, you're in Holly land.
These were my initial thoughts of when I saw it, because I saw it Sunday. You know, he shows up in that blue collar jacket, and one, I'm laughing hysterically, first of all, and then two, it makes me think, how poorly has this season gone that one, you have to find a way to remotivate your team and energize your team mid-season, and two, just what kind of leadership does that show that you're putting on a little skit and act and play for the media because we're tough and we're Michigan, and we're honestly kind of reminding me of like the getting back to work Pistons, like trying to steal from the Detroit Monitor of gritty Michigan or something. And it's not going to work, man. He's not prepared for the job. He's not going to be there after 2026, even if, even best case scenario.
there was this one, it was like photoshopped, and he was an Ohio State hat, Ohio State sweatshirt. He's like, yeah, I had to tell the team that it was possible to win the national championship after 2 losses, and that's why I'm wearing Ohio State gear. It's,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
come
buddy.
on, man. It's kind of cheesy what he did. It's very, quirky. Like
Very
show
elementary
like you're
minded, I
tough
think.
nose, like you're this tough nosed blue collar worker, man.
Right.
That's like something that James Franco would do. Like,
It makes me think he knows he's under fire. He's starting to listen to the outside noise, and he was trying to send a message to the fan base. We're not giving up on the season. We're here to work, put in the work in the weight room, and get things done on the field. When your season really is boiling down to just one game again.
dude, you just sound like Macho Man Randy Savage, dude.
Oh, jeez. That's funny.
But
But,
man,
I mean, they're in panic mode. Am I wrong? At least the fan base is.
You're not wrong. And here's the thing, man. If they lose against Washington at home, their season relies once again on beating Ohio State. That's what it relies upon. The joy of their season
Good
will
luck.
rely on beating Ohio State. But dude,
Hang your head on that.
getting into that Michigan-Wisconsin game, that Michigan-Washington game, dude.
Yeah.
Washington's offense, man, they have some ballers on that team. They have Desmond Williams Jr.'s who literally went 21 for 27, 402 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also scored 2 touchdowns with his legs. You got to deal with Jonah Coleman, Adam Muhammad, and then the wide receiver position, Desmond Roebuck, who's been really good this season, and Denzel Boston. So
Roebuck tore us up.
They have some weapons, man. And I've heard some Michigan fans saying, "Well, Washington's not that special." Well, you know what? It's a joke that Washington is 5-1. They're not even considered in the top 25. They're a lot better team than people think, and they're a team to not be taken lightly. Because I'm telling you right now, with Washington will go into the big house and they will win. I'm not impressed with this Michigan team. Not impressed with the offense. They brought in Chip Lindsey for what? Couldn't have fooled me.
What has he done?
I thought that Kirk Campbell was still on the sidelines, man. I'm not impressed. I'm just not. And this defense, you're seeing what happens when you don't have Mason Graham, you don't have Kenneth Grant, you don't have Will Johnson, especially Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. They're some of the best Michigan interior linemen that they've ever had. They both went in the top 15 in the NFL draft. And just like they don't have that commandee anymore, dude.
Nope.
They just don't. Martindale, it's the same thing. It's the same thing, dude, with him in terms of the defense. Looking just horrible at the beginning of the season, just like, okay, he'll tighten down. No, he won't, man. No, he will not, because just like now you have these role players hyping up TJ Guy, Damon Payne Jr., Rayshawn Benny, and just like they've been underwhelming, man. Barham has been the star, and just like that's what happens when role players get into starting positions. Their deficiencies start to show. It's way different
really
being
good
a
point.
role player than a starter. Way different, dude.
It's a really good point. We kind of saw that with Edric Houston on our roster. He showed flashes in the playoffs in meaningful big games. And he hasn't produced this year for Ohio State. There is a difference between being a contributor and a regular starter. You're spot on. Why do you think the Wolverines are so bad at tackling? Why are they so bad at the fundamentals of the game right now? Like, how is that evaporated in a year and a half?
Because the staff, that was a really good staff, the real good part of the staff.
Minter, McDonald
is now in the NFL with Jim Harbaugh. That's why.
Yeah.
I mean, let me put it this way. If Sherrone Moore was really worth a damn, he would have took more with him and left the Michigan football program high and dry. He would have.
He knew what he was leaving behind. He wasn't worth taking to the NFL. And that's the reason he left him. You're spot on with that, man. What will Twitterverse and the blog communities look like if the Wolverines lose at home again, back-to-back losses now? How are they going to handle being, what is that? What would that be? 4-3 on the season?
I think that'd be 4-3 in the season. They're knocked out of the playoffs again, and then they'll
Yeah.
be playing to just beat Ohio State and have that to be the joy of their season. But let me tell you something. This is a different Ohio State team, man. I really think they get this done. I'm not just saying it because like, oh, it's our year, we're gonna get it done. Like, no, dude, this is a different Ohio State team. They're hungry, they're determined. Ryan Day has been the most chill on the sideline that I've ever seen in my life. He's never actually no, during his time coaching, and he's never given you that oh shoot look that they're gonna lose that game. He's kept it calm, he's kept it cool. He knows that he has the best defensive coordinator in all of college football. He knows that he has the best defense in all of college football. He knows that what he has in Julian Sand, a really smart, high IQ quarterback who has the best completion percentage. He knows what he has. He knows that I won the national championship. I got over that big game scenario where apparently I couldn't win big games. There's just this new swagger about Ryan Day, and I think, remember I said he's that young coach trying to figure it out. Well, he's figured it out, man. I just feel like it's just going to be a different scenario against Michigan, and I don't think, at least I hope not, that he's not going to be in his head. Which
he does look calmer, and you're very right. And actually, I hadn't thought about that. What you just said, we haven't seen that deer in headlights look, that crap in his pants look yet this season. Even in the Texas game, in the close game, even in the Washington game on the road when we were losing, for the majority of the first half, we didn't see that expression, which has been a staple of the Ryan Day era so far, in those tense, tight moments. He's moved past that, and I think he has achieved that cool, calm confidence and that swagger, like you said, to lead his team, knowing that I can do this. I think he's a little more self-assured. And I think he's probably stopped reading the tweets or the headlines or whatever he was reading, because he kept quoting stuff in years past. I don't think he's reading it anymore. I think he said, F it. I want a title. Who cares what they say now?
Yeah. I mean, I think that shook off some insecurities. I'm not gonna lie, man. When you call out an old man on national television, that's
not a good look.
It's not a good look. You're insecure. So I feel like after that national championship, he's shaking a good amount of that off, dude. And this is just a different Ohio State team. But getting back to Washington versus Michigan, I think Jed Fish is a way better coach than Schroemore, dude. I think he's watching tape right now. He's looking at the weaknesses, and I think he's going to dial up some plays that Michigan's just not going to be able to stop.
My hope is that, I know this is looking ahead, but I hope he stays in the Pacific Northwest and loves Washington, because in all honesty, being a former Harbaugh assistant, he's probably the logical choice for the next head coach if he wants to come back to Ann Arbor. But speaking about this year and this specific game, I don't see the Wolverines secondary being able to shut down Roebuck and Boston, the legs of Williams. We saw Mateer run all over this Michigan defense. What do you think DeMond Williams is going to do? He's even twitchier than John Mateer is. And so I think the Wolverines are really going to struggle defensively in this contest. Now, they've been decent against the run, so they might take away Jonah Coleman, but he is the Big Ten's fifth leading rusher right now.
They just gave up 224 yards.
I mean, true. Minus the last game, but in previous games, I feel like they've been pretty stout against the run. Nebraska couldn't run on them. Nobody else has been able to run on them, in my opinion.
Then they ran to the nation's top offense, who averages 565 yards per game. So,
yep. They got exposed a little bit last week in the Coliseum, and that was pretty fun to see. So I think honestly, I mean, we're already seeing it all this week. Things are starting to calm down a little bit in the Michigan fan base today, but there's people who are not impressed with Schroemore. He's already got 7 losses. And in a year and a half, and that's not acceptable with a year and a half removed from a national title. It shouldn't be acceptable, but Michigan seems to be willing to accept that as their fate and slink back to the middle of the pack Big Ten team. It's just kind of that's the impression I'm getting.
Maybe if the Michigan media would be honest for once, the fans wouldn't be as pissed. Because we keep hearing the same thing over again. The wide receivers, Sherrone Moore is cooking on the recruiting trail. You know who else cooked in the recruiting trail, but was just a terrible head coach? Brady the Joe Coke, who never wore a headset on the sideline. Never wore a headset on the sideline.
Yeah. You know why I think the Wolverine fan base gets duped every year? There's reasons. Because one, Michigan always goes into the submarine in the offseason. Even in fall camp, you don't hear a freaking peep out of fall camp. All fall camp. Michigan fans know nothing about what's transpired except for when the Big Ten media tour from the Big Ten Network comes to town and talks glowingly about them like they do at every stop. And of course, the Michigan insiders aren't going to say anything negative about their team because who the hell would want to follow an insider and get negative news all the time? You know, so it's like, of course they're getting duped every offseason. We don't hear a word, you know, from what's actually taking place in practice. And then we see the results on the field in the season. And like, what the frick is this?
Yeah, man. I mean, the prime example of what happened last season was with Alex Orji. We were hearing he was the next Cam Newton. He was doing really great in camp, and the dude can't even complete a forward pass.
Nope.
So
he benched again in another program.
Yeah, man.
I'll tell you what, man. The Wolverines are a sinking ship, and Sherrone Moore, let's just be honest, he's going to be fired at the end of 2026. I think they'll do him the process. Michigan is not quick to pull the trigger. They never have been on coaches. Even with Rich Rod, as terrible as that went, that bro got 3 years.
I'm gonna, you know what, Peter? I'm gonna play devil's advocate a bit. What about the recruiting class coming in? If they fire him at the end of the season, man, what do you think that's going to do to the recruiting class? So
I mean, I'm saying at the end of 26, it won't be this year. I'm saying, well, you're saying if they fired him at the end of this year?
Yeah.
I mean, just like you're seeing with James Franklin, classes disintegrate when coaches get fired because of two reasons. One, they committed to that coach. And two, the new coach coming in, whoever that be, says get lost to a lot of players.
Yeah.
You know, so it would absolutely crumble. And so that'd be funny to see. Have they passed? I haven't paid attention in recruiting rankings. Have they passed us or are they still behind us right now?
They're still behind us by like 8 points.
Good. Keep it that way.
You know, if players like Carter Meadows and Savion Hyder, I mean, I could see Savion Hyder still coming. I mean, Michigan's a predominantly run team, but do Carter Meadows and half their defense? If Carter Meadows still comes, it's because he's getting a really big bag, dude. It's not because of any type of winning culture, dude.
Sure. Yeah. No question about it, man. And they do have the bags. That's why I think they'll never be, you know, a terrible program that just wallows for, 10, 15, 20 years, in terms of bottom of the Big Ten standings, I'm saying. But they're absolutely fine with wallowing in the middle of the pack Big Ten teams. So I think they're headed back there, man. But if Jed Fish comes after Moore gets the axe, we'll see. He could change the program. He is a pretty good head coach. He did it at Arizona. He's doing it again at Washington. So I hope he stays away. I really, truly do. One last game I really want to touch on, man. Just real quickly, like quick hits, man. Like Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. How do you see this kind of matchup? Just gut feeling. How do you see this playing out, man? Who takes this win?
Man, dude, I'm gonna say Ole Miss, man. I think this is their season.
You think Lane Kiffin gets it done?
Yeah, I think Lane Kiffin finally gets it done, dude.
You're picking against Georgia.
Yeah, man. My heart actually logically is saying no, but it's just like, dude. Part of me is not really like Kirby Smart right now, dude. He's kind of a crybaby, dude. Like he's the ref going.
Thank you.
Like this, and he's saying, "I wasn't calling a timeout.
That wasn't me."
Clapping. What is this? Then that's a T, brother. That's
T. Some BS.
You're not going like that. Like that literally doesn't make any sense at all.
It sure don't, man. It sure don't. He's got some favorite calls, and honestly, they could be sitting at 3 losses this season. They played Tennessee down to the wire like they always seem to do. And then Auburn took them down to the wire too, a crappy Auburn team. So I don't know what's going to happen for the Bulldogs the rest of the way. I'm inclined to pick the Rebels in this contest. I don't think highly of Georgia right now. Rob froze up there, but I don't think highly of the Bulldogs right now. They're not the same defense that they typically are. They're just not. And so I don't see them, and they don't have the wide receivers or the running backs that they typically have that just dominate and bulldoze the SEC.
Sorry, guys. Something happened there. One moment.
Yeah, someone
There we
down
go.
there, but
I don't know
I
what
was saying
happened.
I don't see the Bulldogs being as elite offensively. They don't have a bruising run game like they typically do. They don't have the wide receivers and tight ends like they've had in years past in their title runs. And defensively, Tennessee dropped a 41 spot on them. And, Auburn was right there toe-to-toe with them as well. And so can I say it? I think the Georgia program has regressed a little bit since their title years. Now, I'm not saying a great deal because they won the SEC last year. But I think it's clear they're like a 10-2, 11-1 kind of program now. Not a threat to be this dominant force that kind of most people expected them to be once Nick Saban stepped down. I don't see that in them.
Yeah, I think
They're not running the sport right now.
I feel like there's a certain coach who's about to reclaim that spot as the top head coach of football just consistently. I think we know who it is, man.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say Ryan Day, man.
Come on.
He's gonna take that throne.
It's in prime position. I'm ready for it, dude.
I'm ready,
You thought the last 25 years were good. Think about how good the next little while could be.
Because you know what, man? There's no coach that's more deserving than Ryan Day. He was pretty much the joke of the media, the joke on Twitter. Just no respect at all. Still doesn't really get respect. I mean, for Michigan fans, it is. Which, okay, fine, biggest rivals, big deal. But dude, I'm just waiting for him to be on that throne, man, as one of the best head coaches in all of college football. And consistently too. This is not just going to be a 2-year run, man. I think that Ohio State is going to be even more consistent than they were with Meyer and Tressel with
Golly.
So that's scary to think of, man.
The internet's not prepared for how I'm going to take that and just run with that narrative. I'm going to be all over the internet and just buying more championship swag up if that happens. Let's be honest, man. Ohio State is absolutely a front runner for the national championship this season. There's no more denying that. They are the best team in the country. Miami's right there with them, and you gotta give respect to Indiana because I think personally I think they have the best win in the season so far. And this at the midway point, somebody might change that moving forward, but when you go to the number 3 team in the nation, take it to them, do whatever you want to them, and walk away with the W. I think that's the best win we've seen so far in this young season. So hats off to the Hoosiers, man. They're for real. And I hope we meet them in Indy.
Definitely. What was the but yeah, I think Ole Miss is going to get it done against Georgia. I think they win at least I'm going to say 27-20.
I have hesitation with Lane Kiffin in big games.
I get that.
But he got the LSU win earlier this season. Me personally, I'm not very high on the Tigers. I really haven't been since the first year passed with Kelly down in Baton Rouge. I just don't think they're consistent enough offensively to mark that as a quality win. I don't think they'll be a top 10 team end of the season. So Ole Miss, I still need to see some things, but I do think I'm going to go with the upset as well. I think Ole Miss takes the win as well, man. I truly do. I think the Bulldogs are going to having to answer some tough questions. And to Kirby's credit, he does in a loss earlier this season, he's the one that took responsibility for the loss. He didn't throw his players under the bus like we've seen Brian Kelly do before many times.
Yeah.
So I gained a little respect for Kirby after in that post game press conference, because he owned it. But I think he's going to have to own it again after Saturday. I am picking the Rebs in that one. This really is a big slate. We don't need to talk about too much longer, but Tennessee, Alabama is on the slate this week. Obviously, the aforementioned Ole Miss, Georgia game. We got, the Holy War is a ranked matchup for the first time in a while. BYU versus Utah going at it. USC traveling to Notre Dame. There's some big time games this weekend, man. It's going to be a fun weekend to watch. So we'll see what kind of chaos ensues.
Picture a scenario where Indiana has one loss, Oregon has one loss, Ohio State has one loss.
Damn. Yeah, I know. Well, it comes down to Big Ten tiebreakers.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's going to be years where they screw teams for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I mean, if you look at it, man, I mean, obviously, dude, I think Indiana's just there's a great chance they go undefeated. There really is, dude.
Yeah, we looked at their schedule in that video yesterday. They don't have too many losable games left on that schedule, do they?
No, they don't. But
Hoosier Nation's going to be getting rowdy, man. They're enjoying the ride, and my buddy Daniel Masters, who I had on the channel last year, he's fired up and loving it. He's talking a lot of smack, probably too much for his own good because of what Indiana has been historically. But I'm going to let him have it, man. He hadn't been able to do this basically his entire life, so I'm going to let him talk his smack. But anyway, that's all I got for tonight. I don't know if you wanted to add in anything as a parting shot before we part ways tonight and hang this one up, but it should be a fun weekend of college football, man. I'm looking forward to it. Got the weekend off work, so I'm going to indulge. Wish I was going to Madison, but I just feel like that would be an exhausting day, even though it's only 5.5 hours away. So I'm going to pass on that.
I mean, there and back, that's like 10 hours, man.
So that's a lot of driving for one day.
Yeah, that is a lot
for one person.
But dude, like, I got nothing else as well other than it's gonna be another. Dude, every weekend we get a college football. It's exciting. There's no better sport than college football, dude. Just the atmosphere, the stadiums, the excitement for the just games in general. Each game there's something to play for, and that's what makes it great as well. But I will say that NIL has kind of killed it a bit. But that could be for a different conversation.
You're coming around to that now. Okay, fair enough.
I mean, dude, like, so when you have a program like Ohio State who has been consistent just over the years, year in and year out, especially what Ryan Day is building now, and you're telling me that the best that they can do is the ninth best recruiting class in the nation,
right?
I call nonsense. I call other players just want to go for the bag, dude. Ohio State's recruiting class should be so much better right now. And you know what? If there was no NIL, it would be a lot better. It'd be like top 3, top 2.
Actually, I want to, before we get off, I do want to touch on that because you brought up something in my memory that I wanted to say via text earlier today, but didn't. It's astounding to me that now the bag programs, we're talking Texas A&M and Miami, Florida, among others, are finding their footing in the season, and they look like forces to be reckoned with for the first time. They have thrown so much money at their players and rosters over the last decade and a half, and it's never paid off. But now it's coming together. One, probably because they have the right coaching staff, but I just find it really interesting that both programs who have struggled and have been known to be tossing loads of cash around come and are seemingly reaching a peak in the same season. It's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah.
Maybe a new way to build roster. Maybe I am wrong about it. Maybe it is a way to build it. I really don't think it is, but it seems to be working midway through the season. We'll see if it pays off down the stretch. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know, man. All I know is that you're right. Miami, I thought they were a pretender no matter what, no matter how big of a paycheck these players were getting, no matter how good of talent they were getting. I just thought Mario Cristobal was just never the right coach. But if you look at the rest of the staff, I mean, when you have Jason Taylor as your defensive line coach, dude,
Yeah.
a lot of experience, long time Miami Dolphins defensive lineman. I mean,
Mhm.
that's a great coach to have to
Yep.
develop. You know, you have Justin Scott, you have Marquise Lightfoot. You know, you have, you know, just a lot of talent. I mean,
Yep.
I think who is it? Bain, who's going to be a first rounder.
Yep.
I think it's
He's
Ruben
nasty.
Bain. Um, and
We got some
then
playmakers on both
yeah,
sides of the ball.
they got some playmakers both sides of the ball. So it's kind of like maybe their NIL has finally come to fruition. They're able to put it all together into a championship roster. Only time will tell, but I'm going to say this, dude. Maybe the ACC is just really weak this season.
Sure.
You don't have Clemson. You
Yep.
don't have I'm pretty sure Miami still has to play Georgia Tech though.
They do.
So we'll see. You know what? They beat Georgia Tech, fine, but I'm gonna say it's a really weak
It
ACC
is.
conference this season. I'm not gonna give them too much credit. I mean, yes, they beat Florida, fine. Who cares? You beat
A
Sunbelt
sinking
Billy, but
program.
until they do something like noteworthy, like getting to
Yeah.
the playoffs or making a deep run in the playoffs or
Yeah.
getting the national championship game, I'm just gonna continue bashing this Miami program.
I think that's
I'm
the
not
right
gonna give
approach.
them I'm not gonna give them much. Now, Texas A&M, Mike Elko is actually a really good head coach.
Very good head coach.
That's why they're playing in a tougher conference, man. Texas A&M
Yep.
looks like a contender. They have Marcel Reed, who to me is the dark horse for the Heisman Trophy. He's going to be talked about a lot come season end.
Yep. He
And
needs some
so
marquee games, but yeah.
I think out of the two programs, Texas A&M and Miami, I feel like Texas A&M is in a lot better position right now because they have the better head coach.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I do think Elko is a better coach. And I thought he was a great coach at Duke. And I thought it was a wonderful hire. And it's paying off in droves. And I think he'd be pretty foolish to leave the Texas hot recruiting bed for the middle of Pennsylvania, a state that used to be a recruiting hotbed, but is really, really kind of fallen down the rankings in terms of producing NFL talent over the last 2 decades. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
One more
interesting note. Just wanted to comment on that.
One more team to look at, man. Texas Tech, dude. It looks like,
Red
dude,
Raiders.
there's a great chance that they go undefeated, man. They get in the playoffs.
Their schedule
And
is easy.
look at the type of money that they're throwing around now.
Yep.
Seeing that before they start throwing all this money around, right now they're establishing that winning culture. So look out for a team who has it, because you know what? The only way NIL truly works and you get to that championship point is if you have a winning culture before, because then you're paying players, but you're also getting them to buy into your program
Mm.
and having this extremely high expectation that, hey, you know what? You don't come here just for the money. You come here to win. So look out for them because right now they're undefeated. More than they're going to finish the regular season undefeated. They have that winning culture. And now look at the recruits they're getting, dude. They have they have Felix Ojo coming in. They have a couple other players, but they also have the #1 defensive lineman coming in as well for the 2027 class. So
Yeah. The receiver are, yeah, man, their facilities are elite and their staff is budding and promising. And they could be a force to be reckoned. I can't imagine what the draw to Lubbock, Texas is. It's extremely isolated from everything. It's not near any other major town. And it's way out there, man. And so we're talking the desert. But when you got bags of cash like that, man, I guess I can see why players would go there.
That oil money, man.
That
Texas
oil money's flowing, both for the Aggies and the Raiders.
Yep, and the Longhorns. So
And the
other than
Longhorns.
that, man, that's all I got. For those of
It's gonna
you
be a
who
fun
tuned
week,
in,
man.
thanks for tuning in. We go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Click like, subscribe, tell your friends about us. Again, we're live every Tuesday, 7 p.m. And we also put out weekly content. But until then, man, go Bucks and OH.
I We'll see you on the next one.